Words.
Probably still will. Matt?
Oh, I didn't say that. I am not saying that. That's recording.
You've gotten too used to it. Alright! Welcome to the Tidbit Cast. My name is Gary, and this is
Aaron.
And this is
Mike.
Our beautiful guest Mike. And this week on our second topic, this is actually a listener question. If anybody wants to come into us at the Tidbit Cast, talk to tidbit@gmail.com. Feel free to send in any comments, observations, or questions. This person actually reached out to me in my personal social media account because we have linked it into our Instagram account. So feel free to just send messages. Of course, some of them we will vet to make sure that we are saying the right things and we'll ask you questions about them. But this person sent in a listener question, and I thought it was actually a pretty interesting question. And I just wanted to say to you guys, because I care about you, and because we have to say something. We have a microphone for a reason. So, this person only goes by the name of Keith. You know the same Keith. Yeah,
Is it?
It's the same Keith.
Oh, yeah!
So, this person only wants to be known as Keith. Keith, thank you very much for sending in this question. If you have any more, feel free to send them in, and we will continue to say them out. If they have value. And this has value, Keith.
Of course it does. It's Keith. I love Keith.
Thank you very much.
Love you.
Right.
There you go.
This is, hey man, this is just a suggestion, and obviously it's up to you, but I was thinking for a potential topic on a podcast, you could talk about how nothing has any finality to it anymore. Movies, games, TV shows that are titled The Final Season, The Final Chapter, end quote. And yet, they make more due to popular demand. Even how people react to those types of projects. For example, Rocksteady have gone on record as saying that Batman Arkham Knight was the final game, but people keep coming up with rumours and theories as to what their next Batman game will be like. Maybe exploring why we as an audience crave more from something that's ended. Just a thought. Smiley face. So, thank you very much.
We're going to end the podcast there.
Right, so thank you very much. I think that's pretty much concluded. We have nothing else to input. So what do you think of that question? About the idea of things not having finality to it? Because when I think of things that don't have finality to it, the first thing I go to is that do you know the whole story about Final Fantasy?
Yes, I do. It's a great story, actually. Would you like to regale?
Right, so with Final Fantasy, the game, when it first came out back in 1989, I think it might have been. Because I also remember it's the year after Dragon Quest came out. But anyway.
As we all do.
Yeah, everybody remembers when that classic JRPG Dungeon Crawler came out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when it came out, it was that the studio was going a little under at the moment, and they may have been close to bankruptcy. So they decided, as a kind of last hurrah, or final
Fantasy.
As a final hurrah, they decided, we'll call it Final Fantasy because this will be our final adventure together, our Final Fantasy.
This is our goodbye.
This is our goodbye as a studio because we know we've
farewell fantasy.
May only work on this one game since the rest of them haven't done too well. So
30 years later, 30 games later.
30 years later and 30 games later and countless spin-offs. So 15 mainline games later, countless spin-offs which have spawned their own spin-offs.
More than 15 mainline games. You're forgetting the sequels to those mainline games.
Animes, movies, games.
Everything you could possibly fucking think of.
Final Fantasy is one of the biggest franchises in gaming history.
It was a fluke.
So,
goodbye.
That's one of the big examples I can think of, a final of the most ironic of when somebody said, yeah, this is our final saga, our final thing, our Final Fantasy, and it becomes one of the most popular games in the world, and it becomes the reason that Western people usually play JRPGs. So that is the first thing I go to. When you think of finality, I also go to that whole thing about some things that don't end, like music albums. Recently, I remember, I think it was Jay-Z, or a lot of people are doing this recently, where he starts updating his albums. Kanye. It was Kanye, sorry. I don't know the difference with all these rap artists. I don't know, but anyway, with rap artists or rappers, what do they prefer? Musicians?
Let's go with artists. It's fine.
Artists, right. So these artists updating these artists.
Well, it's a generalised term. Fuck it, they're
These in quotes.
How do you
artists.
say? How dare you say word artist? Fuck you. Don't
Well,
you know
it was Kanye. He was updating his.
He's a genius after all this.
He is absolutely yes.
He's a rock god.
Oh my god. Let me start it. Anyway,
So he was updating his albums, and there are other artists who are updating their albums. And then I'm like, what way? Like, what do you know about stuff like this?
I know that it became like a very free flowing thing, whereby it became a moving art piece, whereby you could add and take things away from it, and like add songs onto, take songs off it, whereby the piece itself was never really. It's finalised now, but for a long time it wasn't. It was whenever he felt like it. If he wanted to update something, he could. However, I know he's finished updating it now as he moved on to another project. He then did Yay, which I will always call Yee, because I think it's. I think it's like, oh, did you hear the new album Yay? I'm like, you mean Yee? Fuck yeah, Yee. It's great.
Wait, so you're saying that he basically put out early access rap
No, I'm saying Life of Pablo was.
until there was like a final 1.0 version of the song?
Yeah, and the final version had songs that weren't on. No, the final songs. The final version of the album was missing songs from the first version.
So he added songs
I
to it.
believe now people are going to call me out and bullshit on this for knowing fuck off.
So I wasn't sure if he was like adding song, but I thought it was something like he was just doing different versions of the same songs, or taking out lyrics, putting in different lyrics
Yes, that bit. Yeah.
to update it to what was happening now, rather than
Yes.
opposed to a few months ago.
Yeah. Did it with the lyrics, yeah. We'll change a verse here and there.
Okay.
Because instead of just putting it out, I don't think it was released. Do you know if Life of Pablo was released as in proper retail, or was it only online?
I'm not too sure actually.
Because I suppose if there was I'm not entirely sure about
Can I
that.
imagine like buying the CD, and then I imagine every time there's a CD coming out, is it a different CD, or is it the same CD but when you? I don't know how all that like logistics work with
It's
physical
like
copies.
It's like a moving custom playlist. Is
Or
what
does
the album
that
came.
make those CDs more valuable in years to come?
Of course, it would make it more valuable in years to come. But I don't think. I'm guessing they don't exist. To be honest, I don't think he put it out on it.
Yeah.
See, Life of Pablo.
No, that couldn't have. It wouldn't.
Or
Wouldn't work.
is it going to wait until like he has said, oh, this is like the definitive like 1.0,
I'm pretty sure he
Done.
has. As in, it just stopped working. It's like, here it is.
and then like, oh, now we can put out physical copies.
It was a big thing when it first came about that it was going to be a moving piece, whereby it would change depending on his fucking mood and considering how many fucking moods that man has, depending on the time of day. You
I
know,
don't like this song. I take it off Spotify.
pretty much, pretty much.
It's like Kanye.
Yeah. So finality, yeah, but
Does it not just not the moving pieces now or Kanye, but does finality and the whole issue not just boil down to greed at the end of the day, and money
yes.
How do you mean?
and creativity?
Expand.
Well, unless
Not all of it.
that could, unless
just
again.
beating that dead horse.
Yeah. Now again, I don't know anything about Life of Pablo. I know fuck all about Kanye, intentionally, mind you.
What's I know? I'm just talking about just the general topic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was saying something like that as to give an example of that. If he was releasing, say, new music to become a part of that piece, but there was no extra charge because you'd already bought the album, then is that
Yeah.
down to greed or is that down to just?
Oh, no, that'd be actually interesting.
Yeah, I guess that could be that. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, when it comes to everything else in terms of movies and all that sort of shit, yeah, it's absolutely down to greed of fuck it.
Or even like even with the music, the final tour.
Oh, come here. How many times have like
This is my farewell tour.
yeah? How many times have Westlife left us now, lads? Like I've been traumatized each
take it
fucking time.
anymore.
I can't.
Because whenever I think of like stuff with not ending or finalizing, one of the first things that also came to my head was the idea of now recently the games as a service model, like Destiny or like Fortnite or stuff like that, where it is that the game doesn't really, it does have a story but it doesn't have like a finish to it. They're constantly adding to it and the DLC is adding to the story. But then you get into why I mentioned Destiny first, where it never will end because because when they really did Destiny 1, it was going to be that it's continued for 10 years and it didn't really work out. And now with Destiny 2, a lot of the complaints were that the first DLC that you pay for and the second DLC you pay for are like kind of just reskins of enemies you've already faced. And then one of the more recent ones, the one before Forsaken, I forget. But I remember a lot of people, there's one where people go to Mars.
I
Again,
can't.
I don't know Destiny 2 too well.
Hey.
But I remember a lot of people saying that, oh, the enemies are kind of just reskinned, redesigned version of the same enemies, just now they're blue. But they're mostly the same enemies, the same animations, they move the same way, same attacks, they just look different.
Yeah.
So, and because there's no finality to it, that goes into the greed that you're talking about, Mike. Where it is a kind of a greed that they're never ending it, but by never ending it, it means that they can kind of churn out stuff which isn't that good.
Yeah.
But because people have the game, they might buy this. If they have the game. Like
Again, continuously beating that dead horse.
but then there's other stuff where it's not ending. Like, for example, if Dead Cells, the game that I'm playing at the moment, if Dead Cells suddenly had to like come out with more maps, if they had like extra DLC stuff, where they're just like, oh, here's a few extra to the 20 that are already there, because it feels like a completed product. Dead Cells is completed, and I am fully happy with the product that it is. But if they had to release extra maps to it, I'd be completely happy, because that would just be adding to the already complete experience that I have. Whereas with Destiny, I feel like
But that's a
just
little bit different too, like sequels or
Yeah, when
Yeah.
it comes to
handling.
filming, how often do you see a film nowadays that doesn't leave it with some kind of open ending?
yeah.
Like,
The credits
yeah,
after the credit scenes.
it's always shit left over. That's what it is. Nothing feels like a complete story in and of itself. It's always here's another part of the story, set itself up for the next one, but you know the next part is only going to set itself up for something bigger and bigger and so fucking on. And I don't see the majority of those things ending.
Is it true that Rick and Morty have signed a
Yes.
multiple season deal? How many was it?
75 episodes, I believe. I think it was 75. That was a couple months ago.
That to me is frightening, because what was something so great I can't, like 75 episodes.
Yeah.
That's gonna have to turn sour at some stage.
But the problem is Dan Harmon's a perfectionist, and they had this whole thing whereby when that was announced, they hadn't started making any new episodes. They hadn't even started writing because they said they couldn't. They didn't know they were coming back.
Yeah.
And then it was, oh, we've been confirmed to come back and do this whole thing. So now they've put every other side project they do is now being put on the shelf while they focus on Rick and Morty, and they can work on that in whatever way they want. They said it can now become their full 9 to 5 type thing.
Yeah.
And so people are looking at that as a positive thing.
So like
I hope so.
there may be a finality to that. We just don't know when, if ever, there will be a finality to it.
But then he could look at that from the perspective of, I have 75 episodes. If I want, I can have that entire story, and I know that the story will be over in 75 episodes.
Yeah.
So I suppose giving them those amount of episodes isn't just being like, now stretch it out. It could also be like, here is your end goal.
Yeah, create something amazing.
Yeah. As in, here you now know you have a definitive end. No matter how long it takes you to get there, you now have a definitive end that you can work towards. And I'm okay with that.
And then there's also like cliffhangers.
Yes.
Like when I think of like the first cliffhanger.
Godzilla 99, you're right.
Oh my god. You read my mind. When I think of like a cliffhanger that it just got me on the edge of, wait, there's not even like a planned sequel to this, and yet there's already like a very
Yeah.
I don't know, just blatant, we want a sequel to this, was the first Assassin's Creed game. Where when you end the game, it is that it ends with, and now I'm going to fight like you'd spend the entire game with this company who are going through like your lineage and trying to find like your blood relatives throughout all of this, to find like these artifacts that were throughout history, and you don't find out this until it gets later and later in, that they're actually using you to find these
Pieces of Eden.
to find pieces of Eden, to find like the apple and stuff like that, to eventually like unlock true power, whatever the fuck that all was with the gods that it eventually turned into.
Do you know?
At the end of the first game, Desmond, the main character, is just like, I'm going to fight Abstergo. And then the game ends. So it leads up to this, like the whole historical thing of going back and like the Assassins versus the Templars, and then eventually goes to the real world, and then it's just Desmond going, okay, now this story is now the focus, and it just ended with, now he's going to fight Abstergo, and they're about to come through the door.
Yeah.
Like that is how that game ends. And then I remember just being like, I was there, it was 2008 or something that game came out, and I remember just being like, what? I was waiting for more.
Imagine that when you play every other Assassin's Creed game and you hit the
Yeah.
ending. The ending of Brotherhood can fuck right off.
I remember
That broke my
googling.
heart.
I remember googling the end of like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. I was just like destroyed.
Oh, I had the encyclopedia and all that sort of shit when I got Revelations. I was a hardcore fucking. That shit was fuel for me.
But that was
Cliffhangers.
something where there was no planned sequel to it by the publisher, but the developers. The developers
"You get
made
fucking
a
ready."
sequel. The developers put it into it where they had to make a sequel because they knew this game would be popular. They forced the issue of a sequel.
Was there a cliffhanger at the end of Dante's Inferno?
Dante's Inferno, the game?
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there a cliffhanger of the novel that came out 400 years before that?
It's not the same fucking thing. My god. It is absolutely not the same thing.
No, but
Oh my, look.
I don't know. I only played the demo.
See, people hate the game, but again, I played it like when I was way too young to play
I
that.
liked it.
It's
You see, I
fucking
like
great.
Devil May Cry.
Yes.
So I was just like,
It was the shit, yeah.
clones.
And it was just over the top gore version of like those things. It was great as a kid. But
Brutality.
I remember they were talking about was it? Yeah, it was Godzilla, the most recent Godzilla film. And they said that there was there were obviously plans to make it to continue on, do other films regarding Godzilla.
A universe.
Yes, Monsters Universe. But Gareth Edwards said that he didn't consider that when directing it. Directed as a standalone piece. And if you want this shit now, you can find that like adds to like the Cage of Mothra, all these sort of things. There's all these little things that trickle throughout, and if you really look for them, you can find them. But he directed it with the idea in mind of, no, here is one film, here's the story, that is it. Fuck off, and leave it there. I think sequels are becoming... There's so many pointless fucking sequels that are happening now.
Yeah.
Like Sicario, why do a fucking sequel to Sicario without Emily Blunt and without that beautiful director?
See, I haven't seen the only thing because the name Sicario.
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't look up any research about Sicario.
Look up nothing.
All I know is that I passed the theater and I saw Sicario 2 where I didn't know it was coming out, and I thought I really want to see that because I really enjoyed the first Sicario because it was an amazing film, and there's Sicario 2. So
Soldado, yeah.
I didn't
Great.
know it was a different director. I didn't know Emily Blunt was not in it because why would Emily Blunt not be in it?
Because it's not the same like thing. It's just it's a continuation of Brolin and Benicio del Toro's story.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I have no interest in that. Like the only reason I watch the film is because of the director.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a solo standalone piece.
Okay.
Fine, but there is no finality anymore.
I don't think there's a problem with the lack of finality if the end product there's some quality to it.
True. Is there an end product?
That's a question.
It's like,
Good people do enjoy. We all enjoy a good sequel, but it's just when laziness gets involved, and
and it's just beat the horse.
Yeah.
And it's just This made money.
Let's see if we can make a sequel.
Yeah.
Whether do we want to make a sequel? It seems to be the mentality that has like taken over.
Yeah.
And then we go to like the really obvious example, which was about like a few weeks ago. This is like all over, where Star Wars and the Han Solo movie didn't do well.
What? How
And
did
then-
that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? Where they decided that, we're going to release a Star Wars movie every single year after we didn't get it for years. And then they decided to go full on with, let's release something every single year and then have like 3 different series. Like there was so much they were doing. A different movie every year. They would also have the Origins movies.
Yeah.
They have the Origins movies, they would have the mainline films, they'd have a separate movie universe that won't be tied to Skywalker.
Yeah, but like the
And they-
Ryan Johnson. Yeah, he's like getting his own fucking spin-off trilogy.
Yeah, so it'd be a spin-off trilogy, the main trilogy, there would be
Favreau's show.
Favreau's TV show, there would be the Origins films, then there'd be another TV show. There was going to be another few films that were going to be directed by the fellows who did Game of Thrones.
Oh yes, you're right about this. Yeah.
And Anthony Miller, D.B. Weiss.
Yes.
I think might be the names.
Weiss, sorry, Miller Weiss, yeah.
And so we were getting all the stuff and said, so we're going to put out something every single year, at least a film, and then like the series and stuff on top of that, and then also the Origin stuff is coming out separate from that.
Yeah.
And so Han Solo didn't do well, and then he just went, okay, 9 of our projects are on hold now. Because now they're not, because what they've
The problem
done...
is 8 of those projects no one is looking for. No one wants.
Yeah.
There was a Jabba the Hutt film.
Yes, there was.
That was
It's a genuine
completely
fucking thing.
official. They said we're going to make a Jabba the Hutt film, like the Han Solo, about the origins of Jabba the Hutt.
Of this, space snail.
This was slated to come out for like 2020, Like, it's like.
Is it bad that I want to watch that?
No, it's not bad because you want to know what it's going to be. That's all I want to know. It's like, how do you make a film about a giant space slug?
Jesus, you have it down that he originally wasn't a slug.
Like, could he speak English at one point? Does he speak it? Is it a subtitle movie? Like, I want to know this.
How did he work his way up through the underworld?
How does he get up fucking stairs?
Yeah, how does he work his way up anywhere?
How Kingpin?
How do you move? I want to know. Did this happen over time? Were you born like this? Yeah, these are questions that are like something you'd answer in a blog.
Also, I think there's 4 more avatars coming.
Oh, come here, don't get me started on that. They just...
Oh, that's been going since
Every
2012.
time they announce, it's like...
I believe the original release was 2015 for Avatar 2, and then they said they couldn't do it because of the tsunami that happened in Japan, and that was one of the film shoots. And then it went after that, and they still haven't done anything. It's like, no, we're planning to shoot. And it's like, what are we planning to
Every
shoot?
time they announce something to do with Avatar, it's not, oh, when are these coming out? It's, we'll give you more details. And every time they do, there's somehow another film on the end of that fucking list. And you go, what do you mean there's 18? I thought we settled it at 12. But, oh, it's
So
just...
next year, though, it is coming, isn't it?
No.
I have no
Not a
idea.
chance.
I decided to
Fucking-
give up hope. It's actually been 6 years since they announced there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah,
It's been 6 years.
I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I've like kind of given up on it. Whenever anything just come out that, oh, release date for Avatar 2, I'm going to stand up and clap in my own room. Nobody else will be there, but God to myself, it will just be a final closing of the loop.
Yeah.
And then I'll see it delayed until the year after that.
Ah, fuck me. I don't know. Like, what do you... okay, I'd rather there be finality. I'm okay with something being long or taking a long fucking time to get to, but as long as there is an end goal in sight and you're going to get there, I'm okay with it. However, if it's just, we'll keep throwing shit on the end here and see where it goes.
Yeah, and dilute it like the way Star Wars was.
Yes, absolutely.
With
Like, you
the
look at Thanos in the end of Avengers. That was a throwaway thing by what's his face, Whedon. That's Whedon.
What was the throwaway thing?
The fact that Thanos was there at the end.
Oh, yes.
That's just like, fuck it, throw it in. Didn't even have an actor. Had nothing. Thanos, he's there. He's grand. That's where we'll go next. And then people are like, shit. I guess we'll keep going with this. But then they had an end goal inside. And they build to it. And they spend years building to this whole thing. When it comes down to just, what can we do? I suppose we can keep on going. The example that you've given time and time again is Bleach. Is the fact that had an end, but it didn't end, and it kept fucking going.
Yeah, so there was no finality to Bleach.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least they should have had a finality where the entire 300 episodes I watched all led up to everything Ichigo, the main character, learned was to defeat this main bad guy, Aizen. Oh god, that's a spoiler. I'm so sorry to anybody who hasn't watched it. That's a really nice reveal. Oh shit. But anyway, to this big baddie that is there. I have to edit that out. Right, so spoiler for Bleach.
You gotta edit himself like a clip of him just crying in the background. Oh god.
So in Bleach, everything leads up to this, which I've always said this countless times, which is that in Bleach, what happens is that a lot of what Ichigo learns and everything moves up to the story, eventually getting to the point where he fights this main bad guy. Everything he learns is to do this, and everything kind of culminates in this final battle where he finally defeats Aizen. It takes 280 episodes, almost 300, to do this. And then I found out there's another season after that, which is just that, Ichigo doesn't have his powers, and he's just going around just fighting this other bad guy, but he's not as powerful as he used to be. It's like, that's a really stupid way to just continue a popular show, rather than just, this is a good place to stop it.
Yeah.
You spent 300 episodes and hundreds of chapters of manga, writing this thing, and then you continued it. I understand the manga because I haven't read it, but for the anime, they were all in on this, and I didn't.
Daniel Craig's Bond should have stopped that Skyfall. And then Spectre, we'll throw it all together. It's all tied together because there's one guy behind the scenes the whole time. That will be our film.
Yeah.
Where do remakes come into finality?
That is
a different ball game altogether.
Remakes and reboots with finality.
Kind of separate, I suppose.
That's, I don't know. We've done an episode on it. We've done an episode on remasters and whether they're necessary. So I don't know. I suppose if someone's clamoring for, I suppose, yeah. But when it's just something that you're, fuck it, we'll throw this out there as well.
Yeah.
Like this again. This is something that you're gonna recognise. Give us money to recognise it again on a big screen. I don't know. But yeah. Was there anything else in that question that we were to address?
So just looking back over the question, he actually kind of maybe exploring why we as an audience crave more from something that's ended, which is probably why these things also get made, because if you crave it, like at some point it might be made. Like that happened several times where it also like more prevalently in the last few years, whenever somebody like says that something is going to happen because of audience interaction and people wanting it, it will happen. I know you're going to mention Resident Evil 2 remake.
No, I'm not. I'm going to mention two things. I'm going to mention Willem Dafoe in the Death Note movie because that's also fan casting, and I'm also going to mention
That was
shit. No, what was the other thing? I had something. Fuck. Say the question again. Say what it was. Gary, I'm actually going to lose my shit here. Give me a moment.
right. So I'll say it back to you so Aaron can get his shit together.
Oh, this is actually killing me.
Maybe exploring what we as an audience crave more from something that's ended.
God, never mind. Everyone can stop now. Weezer with the fucking cover of Toto Africa. Of Toto Africa. The fact that some girl on Twitter for like a year sent them a message. Hey, Weezer, cover Africa by Toto. And then it was like build up for a year, no mention of it, and then they release a cover of a different Toto song. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then like less than a week later they go, lol JK, here you go, we've covered Toto Africa because this one girl is asked every fucking day. They then started trending, they're then playing it live on Jimmy Kimmel, and now you have Toto are covering Weezer live for some fucking reason. But I think that is like the ultimate thing because this is put out there and someone clamoured for this every day for such a long time. And they were like, yeah, one person wants it. It's become a fucking meme now. We are doing this. And it's an epic song. It's fucking great. So yeah.
Yeah, the same thing you did is that there was a whole meme going around that Willem Dafoe, like there's a picture of Willem Dafoe where he looks almost exactly like Ryuk from Death Note.
Yes.
And so when the movie came out, the Western version that was exclusive to Netflix, guess who they had as the voice of Ryuk was just
Willem Dafoe.
Because of course, if you're going to get any other Western actor to do it, you're going to be the dude who was a meme.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's fucking great.
But yeah, that is also a problem that we as an audience do want things more, and therefore they will come out. I mean, that's also why
when something ends, you just there's a loss there. You want, it's what everyone wants a little more.
Yeah, I suppose like when you finish a book, that kind of empty feeling when you go, well, that's it.
Yeah, and there's also that, speaking of books, that a nice segue into that is that I think that things are becoming more of chapters, or like the Marvel series say, phases. Where they are now doing that everything is like a different chapter and a different story that ultimately leads into their own phases of what they're doing in the timeline.
But is it making everything much more disposable?
I think it's a way for people to have familiarity with a product that they don't know about. Like, for example, if you say that, oh, here's a film about a person, Captain Marvel, but she's a part of the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the highest selling film series in history, then suddenly it becomes a more profitable movie. Because now it's just, oh, this one is going to directly influence everything and explain the character who is most likely going to be the most important part of Avengers.
Damn right, it's Brie Larson. She's the most important
Yeah,
thing
she's
in everything.
most likely going to be the most important character in Avengers 4.
Again, that was
Hello.
Fuck off, Brie Larson's amazing.
So just like that, they're becoming more universes. Now shows are doing universes where it's like, oh, well, if something doesn't sell by itself, if we make it a part of a universe, then it's not just a standalone thing, it's a part of something bigger, and therefore the name will get it. Like, yeah, the problem is that you will...
The problem is that everything is starting with the idea of we are now a universe.
Yeah, so some things didn't work, some things did work. Like, you had Dracula, and then you had Dracula taught young, like Frankenstein,
You had the fucking werewolf one beforehand as well with Benicio del Toro was meant to start it off.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was meant to start off, failed, we stop, and then you do Dracula Untold. That fails, fuck it, we stop. That's why in the upcoming list of that Dark Universe stuff, there was no fucking Dracula there, because it was meant to start with Untold.
And then you also had the Frankenstein movie with, who was it? Was it Cillian Murphy? And it was also...
The Aaron Eckhart one.
It wasn't Cillian Murphy, sorry.
There's
no,
a few.
It wasn't Aaron. No, not the Aaron Eckhart.
Oh, then you're on
God, that was terrible. The one with
Daniel Radcliffe and what's his face? Come on.
The dude from Split.
Split, yes. Well, I can't think of his
James
fucking name.
McAvoy.
James McAvoy, come on,
So
there you are.
James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe. Now, Frankenstein, that was supposed to be another part of the Dark Universe. And the Dark Universe is also going to include the Invisible Man,
Played by
played
Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp, and a few others, and they're just gonna all have all of these like characters like Frankenstein, werewolf.
Bride of Frankenstein was meant to be the next one properly. You have Benicio del Toro was signed up. Was he signed up? Sorry, not Benicio del Toro. It was... Oh, wow. So
Basically all these monster movie and kind of like fantasy, like legend characters coming in the Dark Universe. And now you also have what was going to be the monster kaiju universe, which you had that the recent King Kong movie, King Kong, King of the Apes.
Kong Skull Island.
Kong Skull Island, that was it. That's part of the Godzilla whole thing. That's part of the Godzilla like thing. Godzilla itself wasn't supposed to be like part of a series, but now the Godzilla movie, and then Kong Skull Island. And now I believe, is it confirmed that it's going to be a movie with Kong and Godzilla in it as well?
That was confirmed when they started doing... They said they were doing Kong. Like, Kong is directly tied to Godzilla because it's the same company that goes to the island that develops the Mutos in Godzilla. So yeah, they're tied directly.
So now there's going to be a character that's going to be in the new Godzilla movie.
Which we believe it's Charles Dance. The rumour is that Charles Dance's character is the same as Tom Hiddleston's character from the Kong Skull Island movie, which takes place however many years ago.
So now these are connected stories that are going to be in their own universe.
And it's... Kong didn't throw it in your face and like, look, we're expanding here, we're not. But at the end of Kong, in an after credit scene, it shows a mural on the wall with just glyphs of all these other recognizable things from the kaiju universe, like King Ghidorah, Mothra, all these sort of things, and Godzilla. And so then it was like, oh, we're hinting at... They weren't hinting at a King Kong sequel. They were hinting at just the next one in this series, which is a Godzilla film. Which is nice. I think that was a nice touch, not being like, oh, here we go. Except Kong, they kept mentioning, he's not even at his full size. He's getting bigger. So he'll be big when he fights Godzilla. I mean, nothing. But yeah. Fuck. Also, I'm trying to figure out, I wasn't Benicio del Toro. The reason I'm staring straight ahead is, what's your man's name from No Country for Old Men?
Javier Bardem.
Thank you. Javier Bardem was meant to play someone in that fucking universe. Anyway, we can move on from there now. That was just stuck in my head for so long.
We can
that was
move
killing me. Javier Bardem. Oh, Bardem. He's a scary man.
He is.
He's a fucking beautiful, beautiful creature in everything. Apart from in Mother. No one's beautiful in Mother. Fuck that film. Forever. I've never been so angry leaving a cinema. Darren Aronofsky. Fuck you.
Do you want to do a solo podcast? Just you ranting?
It's actually going to happen. That's what the solo content is going to be. It's me just ranting. If you were to get me started on that film Mother, it's going to be a 7-part series, okay? And it comes out in 3-hour chunks. Fucking hell. Anyway, moving slightly along. Yeah, finality. Speaking of finality, what?
Yeah.
I think you get to strike the balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to strike a balance between how you handle it, whether it's going to be something that's actually going to be of quality or just something that you're just going to reskin and package as part of another thing to try and get people to just buy this as well.
I think everything. I think a way to do is have all these things still be respectable and enjoyable as standalone projects.
Yeah.
It's okay they can blend into other things, but don't go into it with the goal of, oh no, but wait this one out, hold on and bear with us for this one, because I promise it'll lead into something greater. No, it's only worthwhile if that piece you put out can hold itself.
Like Infinity War.
Like Infinity War, hey.
Alright. Well, thank you very much for listening to the Tidbit cast on this topic. My name is Gary, and this is
Aaron.
And this is
Mike.
And you can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram as Tidbit Cat, and also on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Podcast, and also iTunes. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next topic.